What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Crazy Ant Farm, also known as ITCAFpodcast for short. Of course, we are your hosts, Jay Logan Austin.
And Dustin and Bergman, what's up? You know, the state of the entertainment industry, guys, is a place that, well, it's unrecognizable. It's basically a place we've never seen before.
It's true. Big tech is moving mountains, or should we say Paramount in this case, is buying mountains.
Some say that's scary, but others say, hey, it's just a reinvention. It happens. Well, one thing we do know is that Hollywood needs money to survive.
That's true. Because, let's talk about this weekend's box office. For example, we have Tron Ares coming out.
Yeah.
We have Roofman, the Channing Tatum, Peter Dinklage one. Soul on Fire. And, of course, we have some other iconic IPs still in the theater right now. But that Tron Ares film, man, oh man, this is like a 5-decade-old franchise. 3 films under the belt. But I think it's going to be a bath, man. I think it's going to be a bath. Hollywood continues to spend out these enormous budgets and not get their return on investments, right?
Yeah, and no doubt about it, Disney is banking on its IP. This is a known franchise. It's tracking for in the 40 millions, but if it's like any other franchise as of late, it's going to have a strong opening weekend and then die. And I'm betting it cost more than $90 million to make, which it would have to make to break even. And if it's only going to open at 45 and then die, likely not going to be profitable. And it's interesting though, because you're seeing just with those 3 that you named, 3 very different approaches, right? Disney's coming out this weekend with a known IP, banking on the fact that this is a beloved franchise. Fingers crossed, right? Then we've got Roofman, which is banking on bankable stars, right? It's got Channing Tatum and Peter Dinklage, and they're hoping that you're going to show up to see the people that you know and love. And then you've got Soul on Fire, which is probably the safest bet because it's a religious film which don't have huge budgets but tend to do well at the box office. So 3 very different approaches to this weekend's box office. I'm betting you're likely seeing the order in which they'll come in. Tron, Ares, Roofman, and Soul on Fire are likely to be your top 3 out of the top 5 this weekend, and one of them will be profitable. Soul on Fire most likely will end up profitable by the time it finishes its run. The other 2, probably not.
It's going to be an interesting experience, that's for sure. But yeah, if I'm a betting man taking the over-under on all of these films, I'm going to go under on the predictions of Tron Ares. The Roofman, I'm thinking like it's going to be in the teens. And like I'm guessing like 18 million to 20 million. And Soul on Fire, I have absolutely no idea, to be honest, because those can come out of nowhere and do heavy numbers like we've seen before in the past. But
Yeah.
the state of the industry is a very crazy place, and that's what we're talking about this week on ITCAFpodcast. So let's dive into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Did y'all see that? What?
Let's just throw Scream 6 in there for like
It
my
was good.
favorite movie. It was really good. The best of the franchise, in my opinion, since the first one.
Yeah. All right, episode 310. Woo! Oh man. We're super excited to talk about all the latest and greatest crazy entertainment moves that are happening in Hollywood because it's a completely new day and age, that's for sure. New age Hollywood back in the 70s. What do we call it now? Tech Hollywood, I guess? We're dominated by streamers. The box office is basically non-existent unless it's an event-style film. And everything is kind of being thrown at the wall just to see what sticks. And honestly, the stuff that sticks is, like I said, the event-style films with those crazy budgets that they need to make back. But before going into all of that, please be sure to leave a rating on this podcast, comment below, and tell us what you actually think about the show, because leaving a rating on the podcast actually helps people find the show easier, especially
Facts.
with word of mouth, because This podcast is for the up-and-comers trying to break into the entertainment industry, but also for those who just love entertainment news and love movies and love television shows. That's what we're here for, man. We're film buffs. We love that shit.
Yes.
So we love talking about it. That's for sure. Like I said, word of mouth is everything. So please be sure to tell anyone and everyone about ITCAFpodcast because it would surely help us out a lot. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
And also be sure to head over to our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. We got a little bit of something for a little bit of everyone. We got some new Halloween merchandise up right here, right now on our website, so be sure to check those out. Completely new designs that no one has ever seen before, so we're super excited about that, and maybe even some affordable costumes as well. If you go on there and look, you'll see what I'm talking about.
That's
right.
What I'm
talking
got
about.
A little sale right now, running through Sunday. Just saying. Got a couple of sales coming up before Halloween, so there's no excuse. No excuse. Just saying.
That's right, man. That's right. But we're super excited because Dustin and I off air were having this conversation about the state of the entertainment industry. And we were like, you know what? We haven't had a conversation style episode in a while. I mean, we've been very hard hitting with the news recently. So let's have a conversation about where Hollywood is at and where we hope to see it move forward, right?
Yeah, absolutely, because all the news we've been reporting is heavily influenced by the state of the industry, right? Look, we hinted at it, right? But this is what it's like, guys. We're going to dive full into it. The big picture of it all. The studios are shifting. It's undeniable. The streaming bubble's popped. The box office is still on shaky ground. And the only thing that's consistent is chaos. Week in and week out, it seems like every week we're reporting on some chaotic story. And the whole system that literally built the modern entertainment industry is being rewritten, it seems like daily, honestly. And get this, guys, you know the biggies, right? The big majors. But of all the major film studios that built Hollywood, you know them, Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Universal, MGM, only one of them, the Walt Disney Company, is still a pure entertainment business that started as an entertainment business. But even they're kind of like creeping into tech, but you know.
I know it's scary to even think about because we're trying to think about what is the entertainment industry going to look like in 10 years because everyone is a part of something bigger. Warner Brothers currently merged with Discovery, obviously. Universal is owned by Comcast. Paramount is now a Skydance company. Amazon, of course, swallowed up the historic studio MGM. And Apple is all in on the movie and streaming business. It's absolutely wild to keep up with right now.
Yeah, and you know what that means? The game's changed because it's not studio versus studio anymore, right? It's ecosystems fighting for dominance. And the content is now the weapon that they're using. And with this tech infiltration, it's not necessarily the weapon they're using to try to win the box office. It's the weapon they're using to try to sell phones, get you to subscribe to their streamer, use their broadband internet service. So that's crazy to me, right? Like...
Yeah, when I go back and look at 80s movies and I think about product placement, really product placement has taken over the entertainment industry because it's not even about movies that last anymore. It's more about feeding into those algorithms. What do people want? Or at least what do the companies think people want? And they want to keep you subscribed for at least another month because everybody's competing with everybody. But if you look at all the different streamers, it's like, this niche audience has this streaming service. This niche audience has this streaming service. Like, for example, older people subscribe to Prime or Paramount Plus because that's where the older people like to go and that's where their shows are, right?
Sure. Like, yeah, I like all of them actually, and I think Max might be my favorite, but
yeah, but we're not the normal people. We're not the normal people.
That's true. But okay, so the tech infiltrating, right? Like, okay, they're buying up the studios. What does that mean? Well, there is an upside to it. Money. Tech companies have money. Apple has money. Amazon has money. The downside to it is they don't have a fucking clue how to run movie and television studios, so there's less risk. They're not taking the risks. And what they are banking on, like we talked about at the tease at the top of the show, is intellectual property that they own. They're banking on it. And so you get more sequels, you get more spin-offs, you get more cinematic universes of the characters in the IP that they own. Ah!
Yeah, it's absolutely wild because you get these freaking epic movies, like, for example, Black Phone, or just Blumhouse in general,
Yeah.
that is now turning all of these different things into franchises, which, I mean, is cool, but at the same time, it makes the first one not as enjoyable, but not as special, I guess you could say, because it's corporate comfort food.
Yeah.
People in the business love this because they think it's a sure thing, just like they literally bled the Marvel Cinematic Universe to death to where we're at the situation where we are now. Everybody in the industry is looking for safe bets, but you can definitely feel audiences getting tired of it. Like I said, for example, the MCU.
Without doubt. And the MCU is a prime example of shifting to streaming, right? Because that's where it's really starting to fall apart for a lot of these studios. And because they were banking on everything. But the cracks are starting to show. I mean, there's no doubt about it, right?
Yeah, completely agree. Because, I mean, talking about streaming, everybody has a streamer right now. Even my grandma is developing a streamer. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
kidding. But we do know that the streaming wars are over. Netflix came out on top. They were the juggernaut that started this whole thing. But they're still slowing down, to be honest with you. Because, I mean, you look at the landscape that we're in right now. Disney is combining with Hulu just to stay efficient and
Yep.
stay afloat and get that overseas audience as well. And everyone all across the board is hiking up prices to insane costs of content, just trying to stay afloat.
Yeah, because for years, remember when all of these people decided to get into the game, it was all about growth at all costs. It doesn't matter. Just pump the money in. But now they realized, well, maybe that's not a smart business decision. So now it's all about profitability instead. But guess what? That math ain't working because the bandwidth that is required and the structure that is required is expensive. So you can't just focus on profitability. You've got to focus on content that audiences want to see. But you're not. And what's happening? Well, the audiences are canceling more than they ever have before. And that's becoming the new norm. Ads. Ads are how they're trying to balance that. Ugh, not good.
Well, isn't it so funny too? Because at the very beginning of this whole entire thing, all of the streamers were like, no, we're not going to do ads. We're not going to do ads. We're not going to do ads. Well, look where we are. Streaming was supposed to kill cable, but it's actually reinventing cable. It's just more expensive, more confusing, and more on demand for consumers like you and I and mom and pop down the street. It's just on demand. It's no longer, I have to wait for this specific time on this specific day to see the show I want to watch.
Yeah, which is absolutely crazy. And you're right. The whole slogan was cut the cord, cut the cord. It is cable now. There's commercials everywhere. And the only way you're surviving is to get the ad tiers because they keep raising the prices, like you said. And from a creative standpoint, it's getting hard also. Streamers want broad content. You brought this up just a couple minutes ago. That travels internationally, globally, because they feel like they've inundated North America, right? They're losing subscribers. How do you turn that around? Well, you go internationally. So they want content that travels globally, and local or niche storytelling that fits into here, it's kind of getting lost. And if you're a creator that's creating something that you feel is going to work here, you might never see the light of day. It's just, that's not what they're looking for right now.
No, yeah, it is mind-boggling because remember when we first started this podcast, as filmmakers who have a podcast, this was something that we were very excited about.
Yeah.
All these different streamers opening up their money, opening up their wallets to have all of this different content. But now, like, they're being more hesitant and they don't want to give back end points because we're talking about residuals and it's very brutal, especially for like writers, actors, indie producers like ourselves. The back end deals that used to make careers move forward, those barely exist, especially on streaming. So I don't even know how people survive on those anymore. You can't.
No, and the upfront money that they're paying out to creators to like just buy the show whole is getting lower and lower. lower, which is where the back end deal used to come in, but now it's non-existent, like you said. The upside, though, there is upside, because it's, if you can find that story that works both here and globally, right? If you can find that, well, it's accessible now because everybody has access. So a good indie film or a good documentary, it can literally find a global audience overnight. Somebody sitting here in North America, somebody sitting over in Europe can both click on it at the same time on the same night, and boom. And right there, it's, you just, but the problem is, like I said, most of that stuff's fallen into the cracks. How do you cut through the clutter, right?
Yeah, because it can be a little crazy. There's a lot on there. And some of the streaming platforms are kind of hard to navigate. Like, for example, Paramount Plus, though has some good shows, it's very difficult to navigate because, like, you can't go through and actually search for something on Paramount Plus. I don't know about for you, but for me, it's very difficult to try to search for something on my Amazon Fire Stick and it pop up Amazon Plus. But since I have Amazon Plus, or we have Amazon Plus through Apple, like, it always takes me to the actual Amazon Plus or Paramount Plus. I'm sorry if I was saying Amazon the whole time. Paramount Plus's individual app rather than the Paramount Plus through Apple, which it's always like, oh, start this free trial. But that's absolutely crazy because that's the hard part. Discoverability and just trying to get to where you want to be, because there are all of these different ways to subscribe to these services. Those are the gatekeepers when it comes to the entertainment industry now.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, they used to have it like when you would go into Apple, it would all be right there at the top. Now you've got to go like 7 pages down before you find where you can just click on Paramount and look for Paramount. That's insane. But it's I think it's because it's what the algorithm tells it to do, right? These are tech companies, and the only way they know how to function in the world is by algorithms. In algorithm we trust, right? So the sad thing is, though, with the algorithm, and I'm sure if you guys are on social media at any point whatsoever, you know, it changes constantly. So you could literally come at one of these streamers with like the best series that anybody has ever seen ever, and then the algorithm will bury it. It might be noticeable for a couple of days, and then the algorithm will change and nobody will not even be able to find it. It's like it doesn't even exist. And that is the problem, right?
Yeah, completely agree. And I mean, before we go on to like the state of film and theatrical, like which streaming service do you feel like is the easiest to navigate and the easiest to get to? Personally, I think like I can't say Apple, I can't say Paramount. It's either Warner Brothers, which kind of crashes a lot, or Disney, because Netflix crashes all the time too, just because of the amount of subscribers. I feel like their bandwidth is never sustainable for the amount of drive and viewership that they're always going to get on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, I think either HBO Max or Disney Plus is probably my favorite and easiest to navigate.
I think, yeah, I mean, straight up, I think Disney Plus is and the reason I think Disney Plus is the easiest, and you can count Hulu in with that also, but Hulu soon will be into Disney Plus. It's, you know, but it's because of like what I just said. All of their stuff is right at the top. So, like, when you're trying to find, okay, I want to watch Marvel shit, I want to watch, Pixar stuff, I want to watch Star Wars, it's all at the top, and you can just click and then go. Where on these other streamers, like Peacock, you have to go 4-5 levels down before you see the channels that they offer, right? Like wrestling and NFL and the certain things that they offer. And same thing with Apple. You got to go, oh, okay, well, I have Paramount and I have this and I have that, but I got to go 7 layers down before I can just click on that and watch it. And that's frustrating. So yeah, I would agree with you. I think Disney at least figured it out. Let's put all that stuff at the top. And then when you click on where you want to go, then you have to go 7 or 8 or 9 pages to try to find what you want, right? But at least you can get to the genre or brand that you want quickly on Disney Plus and Hulu. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. I like that. And so I wish they would all just figure that out, because it is a pain in the ass, right? And unless you're a regular watcher and you have like a bunch of stuff, because then it pops up in the continue watching, and that is right at the top. So that makes it a little bit easier, right? But if you're searching for a new show or a new series or a new movie, yeah, it's difficult, man.
Completely agree. And like I said, we're going to talk about the film and theatrical releases as well. Theaters are really trying to hang in there. Like we've been talking about theaters a lot in the fall, late summer, early fall, obviously, because the momentum that we had in July and now going into the fall time where it's been kind of a lull, but it's still a grind. We know how it is. It's kind of like this every year, but I don't know. Some reason this year feels different. The box office is up from the pandemic years though, but it's still not what it used to be, obviously.
No, and it's like politics. We talk about it all the time in the political game, right? Far left, far right, no middle. Well, that's the entertainment industry right now. The middle is what's missing. You've got these huge tentpole blockbuster films like Deadpool and Wolverine or Superman or Inside Out 2. And then you've got like these little micro budget indies that somehow overperform. Like I was saying, the spiritual films or religious films or the horror films, right? But it's that middle ground, the nice $30 to $60 million budget ground. That's where they keep missing. They're desperately missing. And I feel like that's the films that I want to see. That is story-driven drama films or a really great romantic comedy or, you know, things like that's that range that you typically find those movies in, and they just ain't figuring it out, man.
Yeah, dude, like completely agree. I think that's what Devil Wears Prada's 2 is going to be. It's going to be that one where it's not like a crazy budget and it's not going to produce crazy numbers, but it's still going to do very well. I think it's going to be that mid-budget, kind of like what Freakier Friday was. That did pretty freaking well for a sequel that hadn't been released in what, like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And you brought the nostalgia back, you brought the millennials back. But I mean, for example, if you look at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's The Smashing Machine, which we've been talking about crazy, and if y'all want to check Dustin's review out on Is It Worth It, please be sure to check that out after today's episode. But on paper, it had everything, right? I mean, it had Benny Safdie, it had Emily Blunt, it had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, recently one of the biggest movie stars, if not the biggest movie star in town, basically. But like now it's awful, even to the point where The Rock had to go on Instagram and be like, oh, we can't predict how the theaters are. But I've heard so many things. It's just a slow, boring movie. But I mean, that's why it tanked, because though that audience isn't really around for those type of films anymore, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's just you can't swing and miss with that budget. You just can't. You get yourself in big trouble quick. It's one thing if you make those little $10 million religious movies and it misses, right? You're going to probably break even or just come under. But when you take the swing with a $60 million and you open with $6 million, keep in mind, if it's a $60 million budget, you need $120 million to break even. If you only open with $6 million, you're likely gone by the second weekend, meaning you are never going to take a huge bath. And that's where they're really running into trouble. It's literally a no man's land right there. And where certain studios, I feel like, used to survive there, they're struggling. It's literally a no man's land.
Yeah, completely agree. And I mean, especially right now, like a lot of the audiences and even Hollywood is kind of sick of all of the IP driven stuff, like that's being kind of shoved down your throat. And everybody thought that A24 was this brand that you could trust for original storytelling that will bring you something entertaining, even if it's really way the fuck out there. But even with The Rock's name, like I said, somebody who everybody knows, he is a household name, but audiences, they didn't show up. I mean, that says a lot about how unpredictable the theatrical market has become, honestly, all across the world.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly. And the thing is, though, is nothing is a guarantee in this industry. And it's not just about who's in it anymore. It's about when you release it, the tone of the film. Like you said, you brought it up, it's slow and boring. The tone is just not really good. And marketing, let's be honest about it. Nobody heard a thing about this movie until they started hitting like the big name festivals and they started Oscar talk for Dwayne. Other than that, did you see any marketing at all for this film? Nobody even knew it was on the radar until literally a week before it came out when they were talking about Rock being an Oscar-worthy performance. So I don't know. If you miss the marketing, that film definitely is not going to reach an audience. It's not going to connect. And we all know how it is now with the shorter theatrical windows. If you don't hit in the first weekend, that's it. I mean, that's where all the money is stacked now, is that first weekend. And if it's gone after that. So if you're not connecting right there, you're never going to make money.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, because it came out at Venice Film Festival. That's where you started seeing the standing ovations, The Rock crying. And then, of course, I feel like a lot of people were watching that on social media too, because he is getting skinnier and losing weight for his next role. So that was bringing a lot of people's attention as well. But yeah, it kind of like dropped off. Even its initial theatrical release weekend, everybody like really wasn't
No.
anticipating it or even caring at all. But I mean, that's why you're seeing theaters either go all in on massive IP or scale way down to indies. There's really no middle ground to be safe anymore. And it's hard too, because like we love Disney, honestly, but I think and it's not all their fault, but I think, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, because they focus so hard on the Marvel universe, the industry tried to follow their lead, and that was the problem. The industry tried to copy them, basically, and when they couldn't do that, Marvel was the only thing to that stature. Obviously, Avatar and such, but again, huge IP, and that kind of shifted the whole theatrical movie making experience to where, like, nothing is safe anymore. No one cares because they loved the superhero movies for so long until they got sick of them, and now they're at a point where, okay, what's the next thing, right? What's the next thing that's going to be bankable? And the sad part is, when they find that next thing, the entire industry is also going to try to copy that next thing and try to suck it dry until that's gone too.
Yeah, and I think that problem would never have existed if Marvel hadn't fallen into its own trap, right? Marvel built that universe out, and it was extremely successful because it was spread out. It wasn't, people weren't getting over inundated with it. They weren't getting sick of it because they had to wait long periods of time, and they were built up wanting to see what was next. And then they fell into their own trap of just like, let's give it to them, give it to them, give it to them, give it to them. And then people got sick of it.
Yeah.
That
After Endgame, they honestly should have just taken like 2 years to develop their next phase. Like, give people that break of superhero movies, because you just had 20 films released by the time Endgame came out. That really was this historic, mega epic end of a chapter, basically, and damn near almost an end of a book. And like, you really should have taken time to develop what would come next, because you took all of this time to develop those 20 films up to Endgame. And like, yeah, they should have just taken like a year or two off after Endgame.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they didn't have the that Netflix somehow scored the rights, because I feel like a good way to have taken a break from what they had done is to now take it street level and build out your street level, right? But Netflix had those at that point, so they couldn't do that. They couldn't build the Daredevil. They couldn't build, the Jessica Joneses. Netflix had that, and were very successful with that. But I feel like that's where they could have played out long term and had a nice little gap between the films. Instead, though, when Disney Plus launched, they were like, feed it, feed it, feed it, feed it, feed it. And they had too many. They should have just ended it with WandaVision and waited a little bit before they had the rest of them, right? Let people soak in WandaVision and then wait, what's next? Wait, what's next? Boom. And, kind of spread that out over a couple of year period and then come back into the movies. I think everything would have been okay, but that didn't happen. So I think, on the movie side, back to the movie side, we're kind of scaring people off a little bit. So I think a lot of indie filmmakers and even bigger name, they're like, it has to be smart, right? Like you brought it up about the theaters. It's kind of like only an event type thing now. But that means smarter releases. You have to go, do you do a smaller release? Do you only do it on like 1,500 screens instead of 4,000? Because then you can kind of control, okay, well, we're going to put it in these markets on only this many screens, and we have our best shot for a return on profit, right? Instead of putting it everywhere on 4,000 screens and then nobody's filling the seats. So you got to be smarter about it, and I think that's where they're headed, right?
I completely agree. I mean, theaters, they're staying afloat, like we've talked about. They're trying the best they can do, and that's why you see deals being made, like with AMC's Taylor Swift deal, where they
Yeah.
are releasing like the behind the scenes life of a showgirl, like official release party or whatever. Because that's what it's something special, it's something different, and it's an event style film. That's why you saw the success of Netflix's K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah.
And I mean, whether it's a spectacle like exclusivity or just genuine buzz, like it's still something that doesn't happen as much as it needs to, because if you think about it, like this only happens probably once a quarter. July is different because summer box office is completely different
Yeah.
than the
Yeah.
entire rest of the year. But take July out of the question or out of the conversation, and it's really maybe once every quarter that you get that event style film that people will go to the theater in droves to see, right?
Yeah, and because that's exactly what you like. I feel like because you can just easily sit on your couch at home and watch everything, right? Whenever you want it, you can pause it, you can get up, you got to go do what you do, you can come back to it. Well, that means basically you can screen something anywhere. So movie theaters aren't really dying, they're just evolving into, in my opinion, and I say evolving, but they're really digressing back to what they were when they started, and that's an experience. It used to be an experience to go to the theater and see a film. It was a whole family deal. It was like a big night. It was like this huge thing. And then we just, it kind of stopped being that. And I think that the theaters are figuring out it's got to go back to being that. We have to make it the experience where it's a huge deal to show up at the theater and see something. And that's exactly, I think, and you know, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. But we do see some of those smaller studios like A24 and Neon and even Lucky Chap, Margot Robbie's, and Hello Sunshine, which not anymore. But they did learn to thrive there for a bit. They did try to figure that out, right? And it's like, I don't know, those mid-budget landmines, because they're landmines now, as we just saw with the Smashing Machine. But A24 and Neon and even Searchlight started to redefine how you win at the box office, especially if you're an indie filmmaker, right?
Yeah, completely agree. And I mean, A24 specifically, it's its own brand of cool now. Like, I mean, obviously they got their own merchandise. It's kind of like their own niche, not hipster, but kind of like hipster, more grungy, like New York, definitely New York. When their logo hits the big screen, everybody loves to see it. It's something that's becoming a household thing that is cool. And you know, it's not going to be a cookie cutter type of film, and it's going to feel different. And honestly, like, because I'm starting to collect physical media and stuff again too.
Right.
And like a lot of people who love movies, who love music, like they're starting to get back into physical media, and like retro stuff is starting to come back. I'm even seeing it with like vehicles and things like that. So, I mean, what's the difference between starting to collect physical media again but not going to the theaters? Because you feel like they would kind of be hand in hand, but it's kind of not the same. I don't know. I think you need to make movies that remind people, specifically millennials, because we are the key age demographic right now. You need to remind millennials of those films that came out when they were a kid, or the 90s, right? I think those are the films that people want to see. Like, so I think Hollywood needs to go back and do some research on what was so successful in the 90s and early 2000s to bring that back to current day time.
Well, and that's what used to make them successful.
Mm-hmm.
Neon and Lucky Chap and A24 would do that. They would pick stories that they knew the audience hadn't seen before, something they could connect with, something that they could go and say, that's what I'm talking about. That's my life up on the screen. I'm living that every day. It's about connectability. And early on and up until just recently, and I think there's a reason why it's starting to backfire and fail now, because I feel like they're losing their way a little bit. But when they did do that, when they didn't worry about blockbusters, they just worried about good storytelling that would connect with people. And when it did connect, they saw huge returns on investment. They made a lot of money off those films that nobody saw coming, but then made a huge deal at the box office. And that is where they lived for so long, but not anymore, right? Like,
Yeah, it's freaking wild. I mean, just to think about where we are now and trying to navigate all of those mid-range projects, because that's why the whole Smashing Machine situation is so fascinating, because it did come out of Venice being the talk of the town. Everybody was talking about, oh, Dwayne has gone serious acting and wants to get more in dramatic roles, and he wants to be an actual, like, Oscar contender. A24 took a big swing on that mid-budget prestige space, but even they couldn't overcome how fragile that particular lane has become. And I don't know, like I said, I mean, I think that's how you get out of it. You have to remind people of nostalgia. You have to, I think that's why you're starting to see, like, even though Caught Stealing wasn't technically a success, I think a lot of people were talking about that film, and it wasn't a great film. It was like a mid film. It was entertaining, but not one that I'd watch again. But it was one of those that reminded you of original storytelling from when original storytelling was successful, to be
yeah,
opinion.
well, and you know where I think they messed up with the Smashing Machine, and where I think a lot of these studios lately, like you said, with Caught Stealing and a handful of these films, is they're not anticipating correctly, right? They think big name means quality, but big name doesn't mean quality all the time. And I think that's the biggest reason for Smashing Machine. It just was not a good movie. And that's, yeah, I was blown away, because A24 normally, the films that they put out, the stories, and when we get to our top 5 this week, you'll see what we're talking about. They were driven on quality storytelling. And, you know, the last few that they've kind of delivered haven't been there. There's no story in the storytelling, you know? And like, okay, spoiler alert, guys, spoiler alert. There's this section in, and I didn't go full into it in my review, but I want to say it because I think it emphasizes the point. There is a moment in the film, in Smashing Machine, where they reference that the character, Kerr, has overdosed. And he's on the floor, unresponsive. And his girlfriend can't wake him up. And she calls the paramedics, and they can't wake him up. They can't get him to respond. They rush him to the hospital, and the hospital's having a hard time. They're not sure if he's going to make it. They think he may die. You know, and now think about that. If you're a filmmaker, or even more so if you're an audience member, that's a very visual scene, right? That's something that, like, if you see Kerr on the ground, unresponsive, and his girlfriend's frantically crying and screaming, trying to wake him up, and the paramedics get there, and they can't get him, they can't revive him, and they're trying to fight her off to keep her away from him so they could do their job, and then he gets to the hospital, and they're like, we don't think he's gonna make it, you're engaged. You're connected. You're like, holy shit, is he going to die? Oh my gosh. We didn't get that. We didn't get to see that. We get her saying that on a phone call to his friend. Oh yeah, he overdosed and he was unresponsive and I didn't know what to do, so I'm calling you. And then in the hospital bed, Kerr tells his friend, yeah, she tried to wake me up and they couldn't. The paramedics tried to wake me up. I don't really remember it. It's like boring. I want to see that. And I feel like that is where it fully... There are moments throughout the entire film where you are told something that visually would have been much more captivating and engaging if you had seen it. And I think that's why most people are coming away with what you said. It's boring. It's boring. There's nothing that just grabs you and goes... One moment with her, when she's got the gun, and One moment where you're like, oh shit. But that's it. I don't know, man. It's like, just goes to show you that even the smartest studios make mistakes sometimes, man.
Yeah, completely agree. Because I mean, A24 has been doing this interesting thing recently where they like still make their niche style films, but they're also going for bigger budgeted, bigger releases, things like that. Because I mean, Eddington, which I haven't seen yet, I really want to,
Yeah.
which is a pandemic story, which is smaller, but then you have that came out during the summer. But then you have Marty Supreme that's going to come out on Christmas Day with Timothy Chalamet. That's definitely going to be a Oscar contender, in my opinion. That looks like a bigger budget,
Yeah.
and that will probably be one that people go see on Christmas Day. But when they stay in their lane, that's when they produce something raw, bold, and unique.
Exactly.
That's why they crush it when they make good original content like that, even if it's weird. Like when I saw the TV Glow with Justice Smith, super weird, but like I get it. Again, it's A24, man. They're gonna make weird shit, and that's okay because it's storytelling. It's outside the box. It's art, and art is interpretive. I mean, you think about Everything Everywhere All at Once, a huge win at the Oscars a couple years ago. Talk to Me, The Iron Claw, all of those worked because they were so distinct and they weren't safe. That's what Hollywood's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be safe. Step outside the box and create something crazy. Look at 2001 Space Odyssey. Look at Interstellar. Look at A Clockwork Orange. Look at freaking Easy Rider.
Yeah.
All of these films are not safe, and these are the classics that filmmakers go back to get inspiration. We need more of that. What is our next generation going to look at in current day time as a film that they can look at as inspiration to make something great? And there's not a lot out there right now.
No, there's not. And I'm glad you brought up the Iron Claw because I made that comparison to Smashing Machine to Iron Claw and how one hit and one missed. The Iron Claw wasn't scared to show. They showed the drug use with oh shit, I'm in pain all the time. I got to shoot up. It's the only way I get it. They didn't shy away from the suicide. They didn't shy. You saw that shit. You knew it was. You saw the abusive dad. They weren't scared to show you visually the pain and suffering that sport brings. Whereas in the Smashing Machine didn't show you shit. It's like, so, and I think that's why one hit and one missed. And the lesson there, be smart. Be strategic. You need to know your audience. I'm betting that the majority of the people that went initially on day one to see the Smashing Machine were wrestling fans, were Ultimate Fighter fans who knew who Kerr was. Then they got there and didn't see anything that they enjoy seeing. Wrestling is a spectacle. Ultimate Fighting is a spectacle. There's no doubt about it. And they went and didn't see anything. And I guarantee you that's why that audience faded so fast. So be smart. You have to know your audience. That is how you generate word of mouth. And when you only get really 1 or 2 weekends now to make your money, word of mouth is key to keep it around longer because you can't assume, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, you can't assume that a big name or a logo of a successful studio is going to bring you success because that is just not the case anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, man. It's true because in that way, you have to be liberated from yourself. You have to think about what you want to see as a filmmaker. And I feel like too many filmmakers nowadays are putting out things that they think the audience wants to see. But the problem is, you go back and you listen to all these documentaries, you go back and you watch all of these films or about these filmmakers, and they're talking about being an artist and making films that they want to make. They make films for themselves that tell a story,
Yes.
and then the audience love them. Don't think about the audience. You have to think about yourself and what do you want to see, because obviously you got into this business because you know how to tell stories. So trust yourself and tell that fucking story. That's the big thing. It's not all about who you know, it's about what you make and how you market it. That's a huge freaking thing right now. And yes, social media is a double-edged sword, but you have to create that niche on social media because we are in that day and age and time to where you can reach out to the people you are making the film for. That's the biggest thing.
And you know who is a perfect example of that? Although he's starting to produce some stuff outside of, which I'm a little nervous about. Like, be careful, Jason, be careful. But the perfect example of exactly what you were just saying was Jason Blum with Blumhouse. He said, I can make really good fucking horror films. So I am going to focus on making horror films. I'm going to do it for a low budget. I'm going to target a certain audience, and I'm going to make basically the same style film over and over and over because that's what I do well. And he made a killing doing that and saw huge success and huge profits. So he's a good example of somebody that wasn't chasing what he thought should be done. He was like, this is what I do well, and I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to market it to the people that I know will watch it. And it was successful. But yeah, he is now putting his name on some other stuff that aren't even horror films, and he's like starting to branch out a little bit. And I'm a little, Jason? And maybe because he started to do that is why a couple of his last horror films missed. They weren't good, right? Maybe he's, you're leaving your lane. You're stepping outside your niche, and you're neglecting what made you. Not always a smart idea. I'm all for growth. I'm all for expanding, learning new things, trying, right? Taking risks. We talk about that all the time. But not at the expense of abandoning what got you where you are. Just, you can take a risk, you can do it something different, but also keep doing what you're doing, because that, you don't want to step away.
It's too early to consider him a sellout because
no, definitely not.
Blumhouse got acquired by Universal Pictures, but I mean, he's kind of in that same space that Marvel was in a couple years ago, where they're squeezing him. They're squeezing him, and they're gonna get all of this stuff out to where, like, the sequels aren't good. Megan 2, obviously not good.
No.
Huge box office bomb. Black Phone, the original, was great. Loved that fucking horror movie. Loved Ethan Hawke. But they're making this second one. Hopefully it's good. They're making a second Five Nights at Freddy's. Hopefully it's good. Remember, Five Nights at Freddy's did amazing when that first came out, especially when it hit Peacock. So that's the thing, Hollywood. Quit squeezing your creators to create the same shit after their original IP was successful. Let them continue to make original stuff. They don't need to keep getting squeezed from the original story that you want to turn into franchises. We need less franchises and need more stories.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I think the only time you should see a sequel is if the story was meant to be told in two parts.
There's
right?
too many sequels now.
It's unless it's a story that should have been one movie but was just going to be too long and you needed to split it. That's not technically a sequel. That's just the continuation of the story. I'm okay with that. But if you're making a sequel to a film only because that film made a shit ton of money and you want to capitalize on it, but the story was really kind of wrapped up and there's no need to continue the story, stop doing that.
Like if I'm remembering correctly, and I mean, I think they even play into this in Black Phone 2, because I think the trailer's like this, but Ethan Hawke's character died, but now it's like his spirit or something like that for the second one, and I'm like, this is the shit I'm talking about. Like, he died. That was a great movie, but now we're doing this, and it's super frustrating.
It is, and hopefully it's creative, because I'm hoping, there's a line that you hear in the trailer where he says, well, you should know better than anybody, when just because you're dead doesn't mean you're gone, right? Which sticks to the premise of the first film, the phone call, dead people trying to communicate, right? So if that's the creative storytelling, if that's how we're moving the story forward, then I think it'll be okay. But if that's not, then I think this film could be in trouble. It's like, you got to focus on what made the first film successful and make it a continuation, not just we're just going to make this like, he didn't die, he's good, he's fine, he's here. Like, no, but he did die, and
Exactly. But it's crazy, man, where we're at in the entertainment industry, tech coming over and doing all of these things. And it's scary yet exciting to see where we go, because I feel like we're at the turn of the century in quotes for the entertainment industry to see where we go next. There's so much developing technology out there. Obviously, the scary shit of AI, but hopefully we can turn that to exciting, to where we can use AI to our advantage instead of letting AI take over. The biggest thing is just getting back to the story. That's the biggest thing.
And that's a good way to end it, because I want to make it clear to people that are listening, because sometimes I think we come across as in we hate the tech companies. I don't mind if a tech company wants to buy a studio, because you do need money to make films. And it's better if you have a company that has a lot of money and can take a loss, because this industry, 1 out of every 100 films is profitable, basically. And so to have a company own you that has the money to lose, I'm okay with that. The problem I have is, let film people run film studios. You can own it, you can supply the money, and you can reap the profits in when they hit big at the box office. But you don't understand storytelling. So get out of the fucking way of storytelling. Own it, and then it's like a bad general manager in football. If you don't understand football, but you understand business, then just be the business guy and hire a football guy to run it. That's what I think is the problem right now. I'm not anti-tech, and I know you're not anti-tech. I'm not even anti-tech of owning film studios. I just want them to allow film people to run the film studios. It's a win-win for everybody. Trust me, guys. It's a win-win for everybody. Let film people run film studios.
That's it, man. That's it. And I mean, speaking of film people and original IP, we've been talking about this the entire time, and you teased it earlier. We're talking about our top 5 segment this week, which is top 5 A24 films. And both of our lists is when they made storytelling movies.
Yes.
That is for sure, which is an amazing thing. There's some on there on yours that I haven't watched yet, like specifically your number 2. I still need to watch. I know that was an Oscar winner. I know. But yeah, like so many good ones, and A24, like they know how to tell a story, man. No matter what, if it's out there or grounded, they know how to tell a story. That's for sure. I mean, yeah, there's some you just forget about, right? I was going through the list, I was like, oh yeah, that was an A24 film. Oh yeah, that was an A24 film.
And I think a lot of people think A24 just popped onto the scene recently, but they've been around for over 20 years, guys. They started making movies way back. And when we were looking and doing our research for our lists, I'm like, huh? We didn't know. And then I go and look, and I'm like, shit, that was A24? Like, I remember that movie. I had no idea. And you know why? Because at that point, you didn't know who A24 was.
Yeah.
So, of course, you don't remember. You don't associate that that's who made it, but there you go.
Yeah, man, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Well, starting off with my number 5, it's probably the first A24 film I ever watched. And I'm talking about mid-90s, which I believe was Jonah Hill's directorial feature debut. I don't know if he did short films or anything like that beforehand, but I think this is his feature debut. And the story is about this kid who comes across these older groups of kids, especially in the skateboarding community, and he wants to be a part of the guys, wants to be a part of the crew, and just that whole journey of being pubescent, basically, because he's younger than them. They're teenage kids. He's probably like 10, 11, and he's just trying to fit in, trying to find his group, his clan, his people. But yeah, he gets in trouble. He gains experiences, all these different things. And I think it's loosely based off of Jonah Hill's personal story. But what I love about it so much is my brother was super big into skateboarding when we were younger, specifically in his teenage years. And of course, me being 3 years younger, I wanted to do exactly what my brother was doing. So I started skateboarding. So it felt like that. There was a lot of personal connection to this film because of that connection. And I love this movie because, like, the storytelling and the actual filmmaking and the cinematography, I think they use Super 8 on some of the shots, which is super cool to see in a feature-length film. But yeah, it's one of those that you have to go watch at least one time for the one time. So yeah, my number 5, mid 90s.
Oh, dude, love that. Love that. In fact, both of our lists I like because I feel like they're what we were talking about in our whole conversation about the industry. All of these movies that we put on our list, I think, are connectable. People can connect to the movies because, like you were just saying, you know somebody that was living that, you were living that, you were kind of going through it, or it's something that's happening in the real world that we are dealing with. And that's what makes it work. And that's what my number 5 is. And yeah, this was the first A24 movie I watched and had no idea it was an A24 movie. All the way up until just today when I found out it was an A24 movie. But Ex Machina. Okay, why do I say, what's the connectability? Well, this is happening in front of our eyes right now. AI, baby. Okay, this is a movie about a creator who has created this AI person, Ava, and she's beautiful, played by Alicia Vikander, who's beautiful, and he brings in somebody to observe this AI person. He wants to see how a real person interacts. Does he buy into? Does he think she's real? Is he getting emotional? Is he experiencing emotions with her? Is he just basically, is it real human interaction or is it failing to connect on that level? And it starts to get real creepy real fast because Ava, while she's the AI and it's brilliantly played. Nathan is Oscar Isaac, and it's like, Oscar, he brings the A game every time. While he's supposed to be observing Ava is learning from Nathan and is starting to become she becomes the observer and starts to exhibit behavior based on Nathan that starts to cross lines and get a little creepy. I don't want to give too much away because it's one of those movies that makes you think and you really have to watch it and see. But it's creepy. Ex Machina, okay? Trust me, you want to watch this movie, especially with everything going on with AI right now and Japan making like actual AI girlfriends and boyfriends. It's just like, what? Ex Machina, trust me, totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Great pick, man. Great pick. Well, my number 4 is probably the last story-driven film that we went to the theaters and it was a packed house.
Oh.
That it wasn't a Marvel film, wasn't a superhero film, wasn't like a big event style thing. And I'm talking about Uncut Gems, Adam Sandler. Man.
Yes.
Oh man, this thing is the whole time I'm like, do I like this movie? I can't tell because it's anxiety ridden, right? I mean, this is a jewelry seller who loves to gamble on anything and everything, and he gets himself involved with loan sharks, pawn shops, all these things, and like he gets himself in so much freaking trouble. Like the one scene where he's at like his kid's recital and the fucking guys show up at the recital and put him in the trunk and he's super calm about it. Like, I think this may have been my first film that I've seen Adam Sandler play such a dramatic role. Punch Drunk Love is next on my list to watch of Adam Sandler. I heard that film and his performance was very beautiful. But this film in particular, I had never seen him do anything like this before. Obviously growing up with the classics from Happy Madison, but I love this film. Super, like, I don't know if it's rewatchable because it is so anxiety and it is so crazy. And I mean, there is a what the fuck at the end, and that's what you need. But yeah, it's so good, man. It's so good. Number 4 for me, Uncut Gems.
Yeah, dude. You can always kind of see hints of Adam Sandler's ability. Right? Yeah. Everybody was like, yes, I know he falls into the trap of, and he basically makes the same movie over and over and over and just changes the name of the character. But if you pay attention closely to those movies, you can see it. So the turn to dramatic acting, you always kind of knew it was coming. And I think he knocks it out. In fact, I didn't like Happy Gilmore too. It's unpopular opinion. I think he should now go back to comedy every now and then, but don't go back to those comedies, right? Just something original like the one we've got coming out now with the stand-up
George
comedian.
Clooney.
Yeah, and
I'm talking about that, but you're talking about Is This Thing On?
Is This Thing On?
Will
Right.
Arnett and
Right.
Bradley Cooper directing.
Do something like that where it's comedic but also dramatic, and stay in that lane because you're a really great dramatic actor. And I feel like if you're gonna go back to comedy, make it dramedy and find that lane, because I feel like you're getting a little too old to continue in with the Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore stuff. Just my opinion.
He should write stories for his daughters. His daughters are great actresses.
Yes.
And I mean, like,
Yes.
I think You're So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, it went over very well. Obviously, we had Dylan Hoffman on the show, and that was a huge success for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he should write more movies comedy-wise for his daughters and have their input. I think that'd be beautiful.
His two daughters were in Happy Gilmore too. Oddly enough, one playing his daughter and one not playing his daughter, right?
Yeah.
Which was but if you want to continue that lane, keep it in the family, but let them do those movies. They're of that age where those movies would work for them now, right? And then he can continue to spread. Okay, speaking of awesome movies and awesome actors who are now a bit older and doing different things, but this was a really good movie. This is exactly what I was talking about, dramedy. My number 4 is The Spectacular Now. Miles Teller, Shailene Woodley. Plenty of comedic moments, plenty of fun stuff. You know, you got this guy who's just living life and he's working at a suit shop, loves what he does. He's like, yeah, I'm cool, I'm living my life. And gets drunk, ends up in the lawn of this nice girl next door, if you will. Right? The perfect girl. The everybody wants to be her nice girl. She's not overly beautiful, which is ridiculous saying with Shailene Woodley, but she's, you know, that girl. And what they find out is, because this is real life, y'all. This is real life. She has these bold visions of where she wants to be and what she wants to do, shooting for the future. And he's very settled. And so they learn from each other. They end up working together because the whole reason of the film, The Spectacular Now, he teaches her how to live for the moment, live now. And she teaches him how to live in the now, but don't forget where you're headed. Know that you're on a path, a journey. And that's how it works. And that's why I love this movie and I put it on my list, because I feel like so many of us in today's society are struggling with that. We're either living the spectacular now and forget all about the journey and where we're headed, or we're only focused on where we're heading and forgetting to live in the moment. And so I think that's why this film worked so well. I think it was perfect casting because these two actors are so spot on with being able to pull off that so well, and they had decent chemistry together. So yeah, my number 4, The Spectacular Now. And I highly recommend it because you should be living in the moment. You should be living your spectacular now, but have goals. Shoot for the future. It's okay.
That's right, man. That's right. I love that. A great explanation, too. It's so good. Number 3 for me is probably the film that really made me learn Greta Lee's name. She was amazing on the morning show before this. She was on a couple of other things as well. But this really brought her like to the forefront, at least of my life of filmmaking and actors and actresses. I'm talking about A24's Past Lives, which was nominated for a couple of Oscars a couple years ago. And it's about an Asian woman, and I misplaced the home country that she was from, but she left at a very young age, but she had that young love. And I'm talking about like even before teenage years, you know, when you're kids, you have young love. And
oh yeah,
like,
always.
like all the and like she leaves, she comes to America, becomes Americanized, then goes back to her home country and sees that same person she fell in love with when she was a child, and like just about how that part of her life is different. It's kind of like the transitional period I'm going through in my life where you are basically the new version of yourself and you're never going to be that same person you were when you were younger.
Right.
I mean, it's such an amazing film, and it really makes you reflect on, was that person for me then and are they for me now? Because the dilemma was she was engaged to somebody completely different that she met over in America,
Yep.
but she found her first real love again when she went back and visited her home country. So it's a beautiful film. It's halfway subtitled because obviously the love interest is not American, so he's speaking in their native tongue. But it's a beautiful film, and it makes you think about all the different things, the people who you did fall in love with at the very early stages of your life that may or may not still be in your life. And again, it's super beautiful. Like, it's one of those that's truly touching and makes you think about your own personal journey. So yeah, number 3 for me, past lives.
Dude, love everything about that and the explanation, because I feel like, that's where we're all at. And like there are parts of your past of who you were then that you want to desperately hold on to, that you have to realize you have to let go of.
Yeah.
But there are also critical parts of your past and who you were that are crucial for you to hold on to be the adult that you are now. And learning to navigate that transition about what do I let go and what do I keep and how do I integrate that. That's a difficult path, man. That's why life is such a fun journey, right? So I love that you put that on there. It's kind of plays into my next one too. My number 3, similar journey of grief and reconciliation. The Whale, which of course is, won Brendan Fraser the Oscar, relaunched him, basically reintroduced him to the world. It's hard to watch. It's about an extremely obese man that is basically never leaves his house because he can't. He's basically given up on life and is literally trying to eat himself to death because of the grief that he has for the failed relationship with the mother of his daughter, the failed relationship with his daughter, the failed relationship with the love of his life, and just not living the life that he ever wanted. And so now he's trapped in his own body trying to literally eat himself away from all the grief and pain. But before he dies, and I think this is the critical part, he knows he's dying. He wants to reconnect with his daughter. Okay, so it played brilliantly, by the way, by Sadie Sink. Oh my God. If you think she's great on Stranger Things or the other things you've seen her in, you need to see her in this film because she just knocks it out of the park. Just unbelievable as the daughter who hates him but loves him, right? Which, we've all had that, right? That relationship you hate but love. But I think the one person that doesn't get enough credit that I thought should have just been winning awards left and right in this film is Hong Chow, who plays Liz. Her character was so intense and so in depth and so like you felt for me as much as I felt for Brendan the Whale himself. I felt for her because she's the friend that was facilitating it. She was the one bringing him food, even though she knew she was killing him, but couldn't stand to see him sad or not. And just like, think about that. Think about the mindset of what you must be in when you're trying everything you can to save your friend while facilitating the death. I mean, talk about a mental just like, what are we watching right now? So yeah, this is like in my opinion, a really important look at life and how dangerous grief and which obviously leads to depression, but how one wrong turn in your life can spiral you out of control to this. And so I think it's a must watch in my opinion for everybody. If you are struggling with who you are and identity and think that you can't redeem yourself from a mistake you made in your life, I highly recommend you watch The Whale because you'll see that everybody's redeemable. Every mistake is overcome if you try, if you just let it go, move past it, and know that everybody's gonna make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And don't become a captive of yourself. The Whale, number 3 for me. It's visually difficult to watch, but I will say just a beautiful film. A beautiful film.
It is great. I hate the ending though.
I hate the ending. I hate the ending. but
It's
yeah, I'm right
what?
there with you. But
Yeah.
it's
That's
just
the A24 shit. That's the
yeah, no,
A24 reaching shit.
no,
Like,
yeah, yeah. You get up, go, wait, that's it?
yeah,
That's the end? That can't be
yeah,
the end.
yeah,
And yet it was.
yeah. Like, anyway, you'll have to watch it to see what
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking about. You have to watch
Oh
it.
yeah, no, we can't blow it. We can't give the
No.
spoiler because if you blow the ending, you blow the whole film. So yeah,
Yeah,
like
exactly. Number two for me, I've talked about on this podcast at nauseum, and I apologize for bringing it back up, but it's so fucking awesome. Like, it's so good. Have you watched this one yet?
yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. All right, I'm talking about Warfare.
Oh yeah,
A24's Warfare. Man, oh man. Star-studded cast, a group of amazing young up-and-comers that are literally taking over Hollywood right now. And what this film was telling a story about a mission to Iraq, I believe. And even one of the directors was a part of that mission in real life, which
yeah.
adds a whole extra real life layer to it. And so obviously he brought justice to the film. But what this film does is show you the life basically of what these soldiers go to and go through every single day. Well, not every single day, because hopefully this wouldn't happen every day, but this does happen overseas where people are trying to be protected by the US troops, and
Yep.
obviously people don't want them there. And it just becomes a whole big shit show. But I love this film because sometimes I love to not watch trailers, not do any research on the film, and then just go see the film. And that was this film for me. I had some time to kill in between like school and then working an event that, and I was like, I got some time. Let me go see this movie. It's not that long. It's like an hour and a half. And like, I walked away with it just nonstop thinking about what I just watched. It's absolutely amazing. And there's really not enough I can say about it. Number two for me, Warfare. Check it out.
It is well, and because like you said, the director's literally a real participant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the authenticity is there. It's coming from somebody who's lived it. And the storytelling, I felt like when I was watching it, I was living it. You felt it. You were in there. You were with them in this experience, which is why I think it works so. And by the way, I feel like that's what every war movie needs if it's going to hit at the box office, right? You need to feel like you're in the war. You need to feel like you're in the experience with them. Otherwise, it misses. That's why Saving Private Ryan was so good. That's why like so many of these huge war movies that we know work, because you feel like you're living it. And I think it was brilliant the way they pulled it off. It was just... I really like, though, that there was no fanfare, no flash, no glitz, no It's literally just raw filmmaking,
No
raw
backstory to
storytelling.
any of
Yeah.
the characters.
Yeah,
Like, you barely even know their names. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Which is the authenticity of when you go to war and then you're in this, platoon with people, you've never met them before in your life. And the only thing you know about them is what you're learning about them right there on the spot.
Yeah.
And yet they become brothers in arms. They become your family. And that's exactly what this movie did. You don't know anything about these people except for what you're going through with them in this movie, which it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. My number two, I can't believe you haven't seen it. Oh my gosh, it's so okay. My number two is by far, I think, Brie Larson's best performance ever. Hands down. Hands down. I'm talking about Room. And this is terrifying because this is, again, real life situation. Real life things that are happening that on a daily basis. This story, if you're not familiar with it, is basically about this woman who gets kidnapped at a young age, teenager, gets kidnapped and is held captive by this man and repeatedly raped and sexually abused over and over and over for all these years. But she ends up getting pregnant and giving birth to her captor's kid. And, at that point, you forget you're a captive. You forget all the trauma, all the pain, all the stuff that you're a mom now. You're responsible for this kid. And the whole dynamic of how they explain this life that they live and where Room comes from is it's what she designates this 10 by 10 area space that they are captive in. And she affectionately calls it room. And so her son, Jack, is little Jacob Tremblay, who's not so little anymore, but it's little Jacob Tremblay, played phenomenally, just beautiful. Think about this, though, okay? And this is why this film is so captivating. It's why I was so fascinated by it. The only life that this kid has ever known is that room. He's never seen anything outside the room. Doesn't know what the sky actually looks like. Doesn't know grass. Doesn't know smells. Doesn't know any. And they basically, it's so beautiful. They have moments where they're like coloring and like she's explaining why the sky is blue or what it looks like or trying to explain smell of things to. And it's like, because he's never been out of this room. He's also, this really powerful moment where the guy comes in to rape her again and she makes him hide in the closet and be quiet while this is happening to her. And so this young kid doesn't understand anything about what's happening. Why is this going on? Who is this guy? Why is he hurting mom? Kind of a thing. And it gets to the point where she realizes she basically has to get him out. She has to get him out. And so she takes the risk to try to escape. The problem with that is, like most captives, and especially if you're born into captivity, it's kind of like animals trying to reacclimate into the wild. He doesn't function. He doesn't know how to be in the real world. All he's ever known is that room. So his transition into the real world and trying to navigate becoming an adult isn't working. It's terrifying. And think about a mom whose whole time was desperate to try to get him out and have a life, to see him cave and not be able to handle life. And so, yeah, I can't emphasize enough how beautiful this story is, this love story between a mother and a child, and what that relationship is and what you would do. And then the pain of seeing the failure of not being able to, and I'm not going to say whether he eventually acclimates into life as an adult, or I'm not gonna say, but it's just really, really powerful. And I thought the performances and Jacob Tremblay got nominated, right? She did not. I'm like, the entire movie is literally the two of them in a room interacting with each other. How does the kid get nominated and she doesn't? That's one of those confounding things. And when you watch it, I think you'll think the same thing. Be like, what? When
I thought she did. I thought she won Best Actress.
Or was it maybe she did and maybe it's Jacob who didn't? I'm like, yeah. I don't understand though. It's one of those, yeah, I think you're right. And he didn't. And it's one of those confounding situations. It's like one can't exist without the other. So, yeah. Her performance doesn't live without his performance and vice versa. So I think you're right. I think I was, it's so long. I literally have only seen it once when I initially watched it.
Well, I mean, it definitely, yeah, with that hardcore value, yeah, that's hard to watch. 2016 winner, Best Performance by an Actress.
Yeah, so and then the mind-blowing thing was, how did he not win?
Yeah.
And it's like he should have been a shoe-in with her, because it just doesn't make sense and when you watch it. But yeah, I highly recommend it. It's, again, like The Whale, it's very difficult to watch, but it is a stark reality of what's happening in life right now, sadly. And just dealing with mental health and all the trauma and all the, it's a beautiful film. Room.
So good. Well, both of our number ones is a film that reflects society. It's very much a mirror of the potential of what could happen, and it's scary because it feels like it could be more and more like this every single day, especially in the situation we're in right now with a government shutdown and things like that. It's honestly probably one of my favorite films. Like, if we do another top 5 of our all-time favorite films, it's probably on that list. And I'm talking about Civil War.
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, and so many other people in this film. Civil War is obviously the story of basically California and Texas seceding from the United States, and basically starting if everybody's ever seen Red Dawn, their own revolution type thing where, they're trying to attack the president and overthrow the government and all of these different things. And it's told through the lens of journalists and specifically photojournalists. And Kirsten Dunst is so amazing in this film. Like how this film did not get nominated for anything, or even like there was no campaign, there was nothing. I don't know why that didn't happen, but it's crazy. It's an amazing film, and I'll go on record and say it. I think it's pretty damn close to a perfect film, in my opinion. That's where my tastes are. That's my type of storytelling. I consider it a perfect film. It's a 5 out of 5 in my opinion, but I absolutely loved everything about it. I love the gore. I love the reality. I love there's no band-aids, okay? It's raw, it's emotional, it makes you think. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite of all time. Yeah, well, I mean, what do you think about it?
Well, yeah, it's my number one also, and I think that the why this film works the way you just said, um, it's real. There's no, sometimes I think films try to be real and they put stuff in that shock value. They do it simply to shock you, simply to, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. This film doesn't have shock value. It's just real. There's shocking things. We see a hanging, we see somebody executed, we see these things that are shocking, but it's not shock value shots. It's the reality of this is how it goes down. This is the reality of what life is in this current state. And for me, that's why it works. And it's being told visually in such a way where, again, you feel like you're on this journey with them trying to get to the White House. And it's so powerfully emotional. I mean, and it's clear. Is it political? Fuck yes, it's political. It's supposed to be political. This film was meant to start a conversation where we are in this country so radically divided between MAGA and the progressive liberals. And this is where we, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinions, are headed. Succession is real. I feel like look at Texas, look at some of these states that are MAGA based, trying to act like the rest of the country doesn't exist. It's terrifying, and I think if it just works on so. And there's this one scene, and I cannot stress enough. The acting, because if you guys aren't familiar, Jesse Plemons, like they're married, right? And so the scene between the two of them is nasty. It is hard. It is fierce. It is ugly. And it is raw. And to know that they're a married couple in real life, that scene alone screams Oscar. It shows the dominance of a performance and taking something from a page to reality. You believe they fucking hate each other. You believe that dynamic. It's, oh my gosh. Yeah, it is raw storytelling. And kind of like what I said about Warfare. It is raw, clean storytelling at its max. From the direction to the acting to the visuals to the pacing to the sound. Oh my gosh, the sound in this film, just like so it's just the colors. You feel it. The color palette switches throughout the film depending on what they're going through, and it's really just powerful. Yeah, I can't say enough about this. Civil War, and it should wake you up. It should terrify you, and you should get angry when you watch it. You should be talking about it. Like, this is a film that if you don't walk out watching it and talk about it, you're missing the point of the film, in my opinion. That it's just, I don't think there was any other intention from the filmmakers of this film other than to start a conversation, and it does it brilliantly. Civil War, man. Civil War.
Completely agree. Alex Garland is probably one of my favorite writer, producer, directors that's out right now. I mean, for example, he did Your Ex Machina, he did Civil War, he did Warfare, he wrote 28 Years Later. Like, this dude is freaking phenomenal.
He's brilliant at reality. authenticity. He was so ahead of the game with Ex Machina because of the AI and what was coming. You watch that film and see how long ago that film was, and you're like, fuck, we're literally living that right now. And he wrote a film about that like ages ago, and it's just, it's amazing to me how ahead of the game he is and how in touch with the real world he is in his storytelling. It's fantastic. And he definitely nails that with every film you just listed, but especially Civil War. Like he's basically saying, wake the fuck up because this is coming. You know, if you've watched any of my old films, you saw I'm pretty good at predicting. I'm telling you this shit is coming. And it's kind of like a warning on film. I can't describe it any other way.
Man. It's so good. But we want to know, and I'm sure we'll get a lot more millennials than Gen X from your generation, that's for sure. Maybe more on the film side,
Yeah.
We want to know, what are your favorite A24 films or your favorite overall A24 film? Please let us know down in the comment section down below. Add us on X, Threads, Instagram, all the good places. We love the fan interaction. This should be a good one. But heading over to the box office recap this past week, of course, Taylor Swift, the release party of a showgirl, earned about $33 million, which is surprising. That's lower than I was expecting. I was expecting in the 40s. So kudos to her. Only makes sense. Most talked about thing over the past 2 weeks, to be honest, her album release. One Battle After Another hung in there with $11 million on its second weekend. The Smashing Machine, that was its first weekend, got $6 million. Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, got $5.2 million. And The Conjuring Last Rites got $4 million.
Is Smashing Machine showing at your theaters?
I think it is. Only like 1 or 2 screens, though. I don't think anything crazy.
It disappeared from mine. I would have to drive a little bit to a different theater to see it, and it is only 1 or 2 showings. Guys, last chance. You don't see it this weekend, you're probably gonna have to wait for a streamer.
Well, and One Battle After Another too.
Yeah.
Like that one needed to stay in because it was getting a lot of word of mouth. And I love how now like social media and everybody's running with it's a daddy-daughter film, because like it really is. It is a daddy-daughter film. He's trying to rescue her the whole time.
Yeah.
It's so good. But the more, it's one of those films too, and this is why filmmaking and original storytelling is important. It's one of those films that since watching it, I haven't stopped thinking about it. At least once a day, I've thought about new aspects of that film. And that's what storytelling is supposed to do. So yeah, it's good. It's a great movie. Everybody go see One Battle After Another if it's still in your theater. That's for sure. Tron Ares, like I said, I think it's going to be below. I think it's going to be around 30 to 35 million this weekend.
Interesting.
Roofman, it looks good, but I don't think I need to see it in a theater. If I were to see one, it would have been Tron, but like I've been seeing all bad reviews about it, so it's going to be garbage, it seems like. Disney's having a rough year this year when it comes to the box office.
They are.
Like, it's really bad. Soul on Fire, like we talked about. Kiss of the Spider-Woman, which I've been seeing a lot of stuff about recently.
Apparently
Jennifer
it's really
Lopez.
bad. It's like...
I saw Ben showed up for her at the red carpet, all that shit.
Yeah, they're expecting it to like come in way low, like
I'm
basically
sure,
no money at all, and so I wouldn't be surprised if it's gone next weekend.
Yeah, because I mean, other than Ben showing up at the red carpet, I had no idea this film was coming out.
Well, Kiss of the Spider-Woman is like a classic. It's like a well-known story. It's like
Really?
oh yeah. And so when it was finally like, oh, we're gonna make it into a film, I think there was a lot of hype and a lot of excitement. But apparently, it's just a really bad film.
So it seems like,
well.
and A House of Dynamite as well in select theaters near you.
Yes.
Movies you can still go see: Him, The Long Walk, maybe; Bone Lake, maybe; Eleanor the Great, maybe; Anonymity, maybe; Good Boy, maybe. Again,
Yeah.
like it's so inconsistent what will stay in theaters nowadays.
You know, I consistent, and I kind of want to say that because The Long Walk is very much like Civil War that we just talked about. A reality of what's coming down the line, brilliantly told. It's a beautiful film. It's shot beautifully. It's a Stephen King. It's based on a Stephen King story. It's the acting is phenomenal. Everything about this film is just perfect, and yet it missed completely. Like, unlike Civil War, it just completely missed. Can we please see some consistency at the box office? If you went and saw Civil War and you did not go see A Long Walk, what the fuck? That's all I'm saying. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. It's like those are two very similar films meant to start a conversation, meant to be a certain, and just one hits and one doesn't. And I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah, it does suck, man. I mean, especially you got freaking Luke Skywalker himself being a crazy ass general. Like, I mean, come on. I mean, that type of film, that's what A24 is normally putting out, but it's a Lionsgate film if nobody knew that.
Yeah.
So yeah, all the fun stuff, man. All the fun stuff. Well, heading over to the IMDb Pro's Top Trending segment. Of course, all of these make sense. The top trending movie is one battle after another. Like I said, everybody's still talking about it, so that makes sense. Television show is Monster for Netflix. That makes sense. Charlie Huffman.
Yeah. Hunyan. Yeah. However
Sons
he
of
says his last
Anarchy,
name. Yeah,
dude.
there
And
you
he
go.
was also in The Gentleman and a whole bunch of stuff. You know him. I hear that's super creepy. I haven't
yeah.
watched it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard for me to watch those shows. They're super dark, and I don't want to go to that dark place. And then top trending star is Mae Martin, which makes sense. Wayward is super popular right now on Netflix as well. Great show. Be sure to check it out. They are starring, writer, producer based on their story. So definitely worth the watch. Toni Collette is terrifying.
Knocks it out of the park. Knocks
dude,
it out
so
of the
good.
park. And kudos to Favorite A24, who is one of the
Yes.
students in there, and to Devin Chiketto, who plays a critical role as the older sister of one of the main characters, and that's a huge plot line for the story of what's wrong with her. Did a brilliant job. Like, definitely not the person you're used to seeing on the way home, but just put it that way. What did you think of the ending? Did you like the ending?
I was mad, to be honest, but I feel like it is realistic because, like, I don't want to spoil it, but when you are in love with a person, more than anything, especially when a child comes into the picture, your moral compass is shaded, right? Your moral compass is definitely shaded, so you choose to adapt rather than completely leave the situation. Which, after all the backstory you heard from her character, like, she found a home with with their significant other, so it makes sense. But it's disappointing, but I guess it is more set in reality.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, just me, the what they wanted to do,
Yeah.
that's what I would have fucking done. Been like, no, bitch, see you later.
Well, like the flash of what was in their head.
Yeah,
that
I don't care how much I love my wife. I'd have been like, see you, bitch. We're going. Like, you know, I was hoping that was the end.
Yeah,
like, I was kind of disappointed when the door opened and we're like, wait a minute, what? No, oh god. I wanted to, I don't want to spoil it too much for people, but like, and that seems to be the trend. Like, everybody's talking about the ending, like, what? Oh no, but
but really good, right?
Oh
really
a fantastic show. I mean, it's like terrifying because I feel like
that stuff's real, bro.
No, that cult shit is real, bro. Like people who are trying to
those freaking those boarding schools. Like, there's a documentary on Netflix that we watched that those boarding schools are real, that are strictly about profit participation
and reconditioning you to conform to society, right?
And it's getting kidnapped in the middle of the night and all that shit. That's real too. Like, oh my god.
Well, and a lot of it, like, the premise of this is very similar to the story that we have been seeing lately with these schools that are popping up where they're trying to beat the gay out of you, right? Where they like kidnap you and put you in these schools and basically to somehow you're not gay anymore, we're gonna make you straight, kind of like. So this thing is terrifying, that these type cults where they want to recondition you as a human being to conform to what they think society should be, they do exist and they're terrifying. So perfect to have Toni Collette, because that bitch was crazy. She was so crazy.
Yeah, but thank you everyone for listening to episode 310. We're at 310. That's crazy. What? Oh my goodness! It's such a blessing to be able to do this every single week and just talk about stuff that we love. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
man.
But please be sure to continue to support us. Be sure to follow the company, the podcast, everywhere on social media. The company is at Crazy Ant Media. We have various projects in different stages of development. Please be sure to follow ITCAFpodcast on social media. Be sure to follow Everything's Okay podcast, our mental health podcast on social media. And of course, you can follow us both personally on social media. Myself, I'm at J Logan Austin.
And I'm at Crazy Ant CEO.
That's right, man. That's right. And I also want to give a huge shout out to everyone who helps us in the company run our social media. We have a lot of interns that we don't really talk about because they're behind the scenes. They're doing a lot of stuff, but we wouldn't be able to do what we do without them. So we want to thank Danny, Paula, Anna, Mike, and then of course our chief brand officer, Delana. It's an amazing experience to be able to build a team like this and have everybody participate and be so passionate about the industry. And they're up and comers, man. So we're super excited to help lend a helping hand in any way we can. So we appreciate every single one of them.
Yes, and if you want to know more about them, go visit our website and click on Meet Our Interns. And you can read little bios about them and what they're interested in and what they're pursuing and just, all just fantastic, phenomenally wonderful people. And we couldn't do what we do without them. And hey, one of them made a suggestion and we took it. When you go to visit the website, it's a brighter, fresher, cleaner, happier website. So check it out. Let us know what you think. We made a little adjustment, and we're gonna see how that goes. But I like it. I kind of like it. It's so cleaner, brighter, but still your beloved. Don't worry, everything's still there. It's still awesome.
It's still crazy. It's still crazy. That's for sure. And as always, you guys know you can subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button below, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for all the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media has to offer. That's for sure. But this was a great episode, man. I mean, having that conversation, and I mean, really got passionate there for a second, especially at the end, just talking about where we're at and where we're going and what Hollywood really needs to do, or at least in our opinion. But yeah, I mean, this is why we love what we do, because we're passionate about it. We want to tell stories that reach people. It's a beautiful thing, and we're blessed to be able to be in a position to where we can do that for everyone else.
Absolutely. And like I said, my genuine belief, my heartfelt belief is just, I don't care who owns what. Just let storytellers be storytellers. Let us do what we do and reap the benefit from it. Just get out of the way. That's all I'm saying. I don't have an issue with anything else. But don't kill creativity. Don't kill storytelling for profit, because it's just not what makes this industry this industry. It's not what works. And just let storytellers be storytellers.
Agreed. And, hopefully our future benefactor will feel the same way. We would love that. I mean, she could be part owner for us as well. That's right. We love the one, the only
Oprah!